the presentation, even if it's only you and I'll go through it. But I hope that you're able to let me know if you have any questions. You can post them to our classroom if you wish, and I can read them there. Or you can type in questions using this little circle thing on the bottom left of your screen if you have that proper Skype screen. Or you can hopefully unmute your telephone, and it's showing no audio. I sure hope you can hear me. All right, well, welcome to the first live session for our specific class. This is something that I'm going to continue to do throughout our course to give students like you an opportunity to give me feedback, ask me any questions you have on the assignment. And somebody else joined us, or is trying to join us. Let's see who it is. John. You're there, John? There he is. You're muted, John. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, how's that?
That's great. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
I just started getting into the presentation. It's you, it's Kresha, and me so far. And I'm hearing myself. So unless you're going to ask me something, John, could you mute yourself back up?
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. And that'll help with its recording. I'm recording this session, and I'm going to post it for the other students. And, you know, if we get other folks joining us, that's great. Kresha Hunter is with us, John, but she hasn't been able to communicate with me. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go through the presentation that I've prepared. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but it's fine if you did. It's fine if you didn't. And give you an opportunity, and Kresha and anybody else who joins us, that opportunity to give me feedback, ask me questions, or whatever else is on your mind. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now, my desktop. So you can see my presentation. Okay, welcome to the week 2 live session, and hopefully other folks will join us. Here's what we're going to be doing tonight. We'll look at who's able to join us, give you an opportunity to ask questions right off the top. We'll look at our week 2 objective and the week 2 assignment and discuss anything else on your mind. So, Kresha, John, do either of you have any questions right off the bat that, you know, about anything to do with the class? And we have other folks joining us. Looks like Kathleen is joining us. Welcome, Kathleen. Can you unmute yourself?
There we go.
Hey, welcome. And
Thank you.
Kresha, it looks like you were able to join us with by the link, maybe. And Kresha, can you unmute yourself and say hello? Well, sometimes this function.
Okay, there it goes.
Yeah. Glad you're able to join us. Okay. So we're at a point now where I want to give you students an opportunity to ask any questions. It does not have to be about week 2 only. Just anything on your mind, and if it is week 2, that's cool too. Any questions among you?
I do have one question about the management planning worksheet.
Yes.
I know it's use a company that you're kind of familiar with, but should it be a for-profit company?
I don't think we're restricted to for-profit companies. No. You can use a not-for-profit or a mutual, what is it, mutual benefit,
Okay.
or even a government.
Okay. Thank you.
Who'd you have in mind? Just curious.
The Communities in School organization.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, as long as you can get the information that's necessary to complete all the elements of the worksheet, that's fine.
Okay.
Any other questions among you? Aaliyah, welcome. Can you unmute yourself and say hi? Aaliyah, I show that you're muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Welcome.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Well, real good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Just trying to catch up on some work and get ready to watch this game that's coming up.
Oh, what game?
The finals are on, the Cavaliers and
Oh, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm a lifelong Lakers fan, and since they went down into ignominy, I haven't been that interested. So
I know.
I hope
I know
you have fun watching the game.
Okay.
In any case, we're at a point where I want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have. Doesn't have to be about week 2 only, but if you have questions I can help you with, please ask. Any of you, that's fine.
Okay. Well, I did actually have one question.
Please.
Because I just want to get clarity on this. So, like for instance, this week, I did 4 posts so far. 4 posts so far.
Yes.
So, for those 4 posts, when I participate in this live session, you know, to get the half credit, the other 2 points, is it okay that I've only posted those 4 times to get the other 2 points, or are
No,
you supposed?
that's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
I'm recording this session, and I'm
Okay.
going to post this session to our classroom. You'll see it.
Okay.
Probably in the announcements and in the classroom feeds. And I will post a question or two about our topics for this week or something that hasn't been asked before about this week. And you respond to those, and you will receive the other half credit. Yes.
Okay, when I respond to the topic that you post.
Yes.
Gotcha. Oh, you can't see me either, I guess. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Well, you can make yourself seen or not as you wish.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Anybody else with a question? Kresha, did you have a question?
I did. Okay, so can you go ahead and I'm sorry, because her question was one of the questions I did have about the discussion board post, because I kind of I didn't fall behind last week, but I missed the credit, so I wanted to make sure I have it right. Can you clarify? You answer all 3 questions to get so many points. How do you get the rest?
Well, the way that participation works is that students who post 8 substantive postings during the school week, over 3 days of the school week, receive full participation credit for that week. But there is an option. If you're participating in the live session as you are, or if you don't participate but you view the live session that I'm going to post, I'm recording it now and I'll be posting it to the classroom, and respond to the questions that I'm going to post with it, you receive half credit for the week. So a total of 4 points for participation in each week. You get 2 points for the live session stuff, whether you're with us live or recorded. And then if you post 4 other responses over 2 days of the week, you get the other half credit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it now. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Any other questions that you might have? Any of you? Okay, well, let me go on with my presentation. Can everyone see my PowerPoint presentation? Because I'm sharing my desktop.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great.
I've actually reviewed it when you posted it earlier today as well.
Great. Well, that's only going to be helpful to you. All right. Well, looking at it, yeah, these are the things we're going to do tonight. So let's get started. That's me, who's here with my goofy smile. Let's move on. You've already gotten a chance to ask your questions. So let's go to the week 2 objective from our syllabus, and that is analyze the fundamentals of the planning process. So as you may have read in postings and readings, the 4 functions of management are planning, organizing, and leading and controlling. And so beginning in week 2 and for the following 3 weeks, we will focus on one of those functions of management. In week 2, we're focusing on the function of planning. So that's why it's talking about analyzing the fundamentals of the planning process. And I'm not going to give a lecture or go through the readings in any kind of detail. That is something, if there's specific points you want to bring up to me, that's fine, and now's your chance. You can ask, or if something occurs to you later, you can send me a note or whatever, and I'll get back to you. But as to the fundamentals of the planning process, we looked at in the readings, there's levels of folks who plan in the organization and the types of plans that they look at. And the readings talk about the SWOT analysis. How many of you had heard of the SWOT analysis previously?
I have.
That's good.
I have.
That is kind of a common tool that MBA graduates are kind of supposed to know. So you're going to get more practice with that as we go on, and then in future courses in the MBA program. But that SWOT tool, the strengths, weaknesses, that's the internal analysis, and then opportunities and threats, the external analysis is going to be important for you to know. It's also important for you to know that the SWOT analysis is not an end in itself. It's a tool, and it's part of doing a strategic plan. So that's not well emphasized in our readings, in my opinion. But consider the SWOT analysis to be a tool of strategic planning, which indeed it is, and a good one. Any questions or comments about planning or the planning process or levels of planning or why it's necessary? Let's move on. The individual assignment this week is that management planning worksheet. Looks kind of like this, and this is a blank one. Comes with instructions. I post the grading guide. It's also there in your assignment material, so you know the types of things I'm going to be looking at, but it goes along with this fairly faithfully, I think. Go ahead, please.
No, I actually had a question because I did it this morning. And I just wanted to know, because on the section where it talks about the SWOT analysis, and it says give a 300-word, I guess, synopsis, if you will, kind of. So I was just wondering, like, when I put it on this sheet, like I don't know if you're familiar with like case studies and things of that nature. So I've written a lot of case studies. So I just what I decided to do was just put like a takeaway at the bottom in like a little paragraph or whatever about the SWOT analysis. Is that what you wanted, or
well,
were you?
The idea of choosing a company is to analyze it.
Yes.
And you should be able to choose a company with which you can apply some of these planning materials or planning strategies, and that particularly the environment scan. So environment scan, as I talked about with the SWOT analysis, is the internal environment, strengths and weaknesses, and the external environment, opportunities and threats. So that's basically what that says. And so I'm asking you to talk about strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats for the total of a total word count of 350 words, so it's not very lengthy. And if you exceed that, it'll be okay.
Okay.
Am I answering your question, Aaliyah?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure I got exact flavor of it, but you tell me if you need more specific information.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone about the assignment? Sorry, I don't mean to distract you. It's pretty straightforward, I think. The idea behind picking a big company is because they usually have web presences that include the information you need to complete the necessary requirements for this assignment. They should have plans on their website. They should talk about, some of them do have SWOT analysis, or you can do your own SWOT analysis based on the information that you glean. And that's pretty easy too. You can Google search a company and you can find out where they're falling flat. Anybody sad about Sears and Penny's going down the tubes like I am?
Yes.
Not all.
I tell you what, I don't work for them, but they have been lifelong sources of goods and services for me, and I really hate to see them collapsing in front of us. I remember when Amazon started, I mean, they were really struggling too when they began, but I never thought that they would just be the death knell of these mall anchors. But malls are dying, and anyway, back to big companies and whatnot. Some of them are less big than they used to be.
I feel like also like that's kind of contributed to them not adjusting to the trends, you know, of the rise of the internet and us just being, I guess, younger people and wanting to shop online and things of that nature. I think even like Blockbuster, for instance, when the red box came out, it pretty much put them out of business. And I think that if companies would just evaluate the market and just adjust accordingly, they could, you know, be able to sustain themselves a little better.
Well, it's really hard to determine what trend is going to stay and what trend is going to fall off into oblivion. You know, there is a trend in clothing to have holes purposely put in jeans and blouses and stuff. And I just hope within me that trend's gonna die. I mean, it's been since the 90s that I've seen it. It hasn't died yet.
Right.
But you don't know what's gonna work and not. And some people get paid a whole lot of money to take a look at these trends, like people at Blockbuster, and determine what's gonna work and what's not gonna work. And I'm sure they said to themselves, well, who wants to go to their mailbox when they can come into our beautiful video warehouse and see them all lined up and see all the snacks and, you know, get out of the house and meet your friends, etc., etc. Or I mean, this was before streaming. They died long before streaming came into vogue. It was just somebody getting a Netflix DVD in the mail. I mean, if you remember. Or Redbox, you know, where you go to a kiosk and you pay $1 instead of $4 or $6, and the late fees were really bothering people, so Netflix decided not to have late fees on their DVDs delivered by mail. Well, those folks at Blockbuster and Hollywood Video thought that those were not damaging strategies, that they could, you know, that those would die a quick death or something. But instead, they are the ones who died the very rapid death. It's hard to know about trends. I mean, here's Krispy Kreme donuts. Does anybody know what Krispy Kreme donuts are?
Oh, yeah.
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 Okay, well, I do too. You're not seeing all of me, but if you could see all of me, you'd know that I do. But anyway, my point is that Krispy Kreme began in North Carolina, I believe. I flew into Raleigh once, and I couldn't believe how good they were. Anyway, they had this real rapid expansion nationwide. So they were building, some of them where I was living in the Sacramento, California area in the early 2000s. And they just expanded. And then this thing called Atkins diet, fad, hit, and folks stopped eating carbs, and Krispy Kreme found themselves closing stores more rapidly than they had built them, and they really shrunk. Well, the accordion went the other way now, and they're kind of expanding again. They closed stores in the Sacramento area where I was living, and before I moved in 2012, they had reopened them. There were tenants in there, you know, burger joints, or somebody had opened up something and then they lost their lease. And Krispy Kreme went back in there and reopened their donut shop. So it's really hard to know what trends are going to doom you and what trends you can safely ignore. But all these companies, these large companies that are mentioned, Home Depot, Apple, why is Apple the most profitable company in history? They cost too much. They have boring marketing campaigns.
I think that I really think that they're pretty popular because of their ability to create a product that customers didn't know they actually needed. And that makes sense.
That's a really good observation, Aaliyah. Yeah, Apple, and I think Steve Jobs had said that we're going to make things that people don't know that they need, but they're not going to be able to live without. And I have an iPhone here. You can't see it, but I have an iPhone 8 Plus here, and Steve was right. That's my fourth iPhone. It's amazing. But these companies are just suggestions. You can pick the organization you like. So any other comments or questions on the assignment? These asides, you know, talking about my experience with companies and whatnot, or pennies going under. You might see pennies again during this class, but as they relate to your requirements, I don't want to be too tangential, going off into tangents too much. All right, so I'm going to move on from the assignment. And that's, you know, kind of the last thing I had to present to you, but I am here for you. And if you have anything else you wanted to talk about, well, let me ask you this: how many of you? And I'm gonna turn off my screen share. Stop sharing so you can see me and I can see you. Aha! No, I can't see any of you because you haven't shared your video, and that's fine. You don't have to. How many of you, this is not your first University of Phoenix class?
This is my second to the last class.
Yeah, okay, Kathleen. So you may be familiar with a little paradigm called learning teams, right?
Yes.
Yes. And did you notice that this class doesn't have any?
I did.
And is that a positive to you or what?
Well, in a way it's a positive, and in a way it's a negative. It's a positive for me because I think that the online classes sometimes don't give you enough touch with your fellow classmates, so you have trouble connecting to do a project. My power's going out, so if I lose you, oh, that's why. It keeps flashing on and off. And it's a negative because I think that, you know, you need that spirit of teamwork. You need the ability to work with other people and you know, being able to solve problems and that sort of thing. And that's, I think, what you miss if you don't have a team.
For those for whom this class is the first class at University of Phoenix, let me explain. In undergraduate and graduate courses, with some exceptions, all students were required to do individual assignments and also were broken down into learning teams by the instructor of 3 to 5 students, and then you were responsible for getting with your learning team and producing 2 to 3 assignments during the class, you know, for grade. And that proved to be very frustrating, and in fact for instructors it probably is something that was the most frustrating, because It's difficult, especially online, when you have an asynchronous course, folks can get on when they want, to require them to coordinate together and go through that, what you know, the forming, storming, norming, performing stages of group work to become effective enough to get a good grade. And it was endlessly frustrating for some because inevitably you had some who were slackers and some who were take charge people, and some of the students resented that. So this class does not have learning teams, and it's by design. I don't know that the future courses in the MBA program will or won't. This course has a new redesign that did not include them, and it was up to me to include them or not, and I decided to try it without learning teams. I hope you like my strategy. And I thought, well, you can get to know something about your fellow students through some of the biomaterials or attending the live sessions, which might take the place a little bit of the learning team coordination that Kathleen mentioned as an advantage. Does that make sense?
It does. I agree with you that the video session, I think, is probably more valuable to me than trying to coordinate working with 4 other people or 5 other people. The other class I'm taking presently still has the learning teams.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a management course, and we're trying to coordinate a project right now. So, and I'm in nursing, so majority of the classes that I've had, I don't think there was one that didn't have a learning team strategy in it. So, and it was very difficult because you're looking at nurses who are working all kind of crazy shifts, trying to coordinate this. So I appreciate the fact that you chose not to do that.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Aaliyah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, even though I haven't experienced the learning teams myself, my mom actually talked about it a lot. And I was actually excited when she was like, oh, I don't see the learning teams on this for this course, because in my undergraduate, my last 2 semesters, my senior year, I literally had group projects in every single class, and I had 18 hours both times.
Wow.
So when I tell you that was probably, honestly, that was the most hectic thing out of all, even just going to class. It was just having to meet with those people all the time, and then people miss deadlines and everybody's not on the same page, and it's just a lot to deal with. So I'm kind of glad that we don't have a learning team.
I'm glad. So I wanted to, if you hadn't seen this, and I'm going to share my desktop again so you can see what I'm looking at. If you haven't seen this button down here, can you see where my mouse is going? This IM button, have you seen that, everyone? Well, I know John has because he's posted a couple notes here. You have the ability to post something, and John is posting, and that's fine. Can you see this? Kathleen, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Kresha? Can you see it?
I can, yes.
Okay. Aaliyah?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see John's comments?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to read them to you, but he's talking about Krispy Kreme donuts in Fresno. And it makes sense they were there since they were in the Sacramento area. And he talked about learning teams. So I'm not going to read you his comments, but you're free to do the same. I wanted to point that out to you. Okay, anything else on anyone else's mind? How are we doing so far? I mean, was that week 1 assignment a bear, or?
I think it was pretty reasonable.
It was reasonable.
Yeah, it was pretty reasonable. I think it's pretty clear. I like that it's kind of straight to the point. It's not really just a lot of extra, I guess, work, if you will.
I kind of thought it was extra work, and I mean, doing the actual assignment, it was pretty clear because it's a worksheet.
Yeah.
But you did have to find the references and so forth.
Oh yeah, that part was the extra part because I never really.
It was put together by Dr. Duncan, who hosted the live session last week, and I went ahead and adopted it. I actually had the different week 1 assignment. I don't know if it would be easier or more difficult, but he provided materials that I went ahead and put in the assignment instructions for you that I didn't. So I may approach things maybe a little more simply. I don't know, But I wanted to tell you that that assignment and week 2's assignment are from Dr. Duncan.
Oh,
And he's a good guy. Any other, well, please comment. Go ahead.
well, I do actually have another question. I just wanted to know, did you teach any other courses?
I teach, well, I've taught a lot more in the past than I have. I had half a dozen or so courses that I taught fairly regularly, some in the graduate and some in the undergraduate programs. I used to get a lot of nurses in some of my courses, not so much, every now and then, and Kathleen's a nurse, and well, I think we have at least one other nurse in our program. But I taught leadership, and I taught financial management, critical thinking, what else, Ron? Budgeting. There were graduate courses in budgeting in the old days. I don't think they exist anymore. And a couple of others. And sociology. Fun stuff. Even a philosophy course, which was my undergrad major. But I'm down to, in the university, based on need, they just they tell you what you're qualified to teach, and right now I'm qualified to teach this one. Excuse me, and a leadership course.
Okay. I thought you were pretty cool, so I was trying to see if I could get you again.
Thank you. And I have had students that, we've really gotten along well in the course, and I don't know if you can request a certain instructor or not. If somebody wants to, I say great. But lately I've been pretty much restricted to the Management 521. I'd love to teach other courses, and I hope they let me sometime. But, you can always ask. Any other questions or comments? All right, you guys. Well, I want you to know that we're live now. We're not going to be live here in a few minutes. And I'm still here for you. I mean, you can ask me questions via email or private message, or, I think my phone number is somewhere. You can text me if you want to, or call me. That's fine. So I'm here for you. And don't just sit on a question and let it, kind of fester with you. Go ahead and ask, and I'll get back to you, as soon as I can.
I sent an email earlier today, a private email, but I can share it. It's not that private. But my first week, I did kind of struggle, not because of the material, but because I had the whooping cough that's supposed to be almost eradicated or for children.
That's awful.
But I end up catching it, but it was hard to diagnose unless you do blood work. But so I was trying to recover from that. So I kind of don't feel like I have to play with the system, because I kind of missed out on how to navigate through the system my first week. So it was a little struggle, but I'm still going to try to figure out this Skype, because it's like so many screens open and I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, it's not as intuitive as I would like, Kresha, but I've done it enough times to where I'm comfortable doing what I need to do. You'll get there.
Okay, that was just that was kind of it. So, with that being said, I know you said you're gonna post it. When you post it, is it going to be under another tab?
I'll probably post it in the announcements.
Okay.
The right side of your screen, it's got my policies, and I told you in there that the week 1 grades were published. That's where I put. You can't comment. I don't think you can comment on any of the announcements. But
okay.
I'll post it there so I know you can see it, and then I'll post it in the main classroom threads as well, so you can reply to it. It's harder to find there because it gets buried in the other threads that keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll post it in both places, so you can copy that and post it to a thread. if you wish, you know, a new thread, or you can send the responses to the questions via private message. You just make sure I get it somehow so I can give you the credit that you earned.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else for the good of the order?
I just wanted to say I appreciate you being available to us and, you know, taking the time to talk with us and answer our questions. I haven't had this in any other class, and this is great.
Well, this is a Dr. Duncan thing. He signed me up, and I just see the utility in it. But it's nothing without you guys. Okay, so you're grateful. I'm grateful to you too. So thanks very much. If there is nothing else, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, I'll go ahead and stop the recording, and you'll see that posting in announcements and in the main classroom probably tomorrow morning sometime. Okay?
Thanks very much.
Thank you all, and have a good evening.
You too. You do the same.
Take care.